is not going to be a review of the A7R4. I've done that video. I'll put it down in the comments. What I want to do is I want to make the case for the A7R4 in 2022 and tell you why I've picked it up again and started shooting with it. I'm Jamil. This is a boy named Jamil. Thank you guys for being here. Let's get into it. Some history on this camera. This camera came out in July of 2019. And at the time, the Sony world was waiting for one camera and one camera only. And that camera was the A7S III with all of the video bells and whistles that everyone was waiting for since the A7S II. But what they got was this A7R4. And I think when this camera was announced, a lot of people were let down, but this camera was a great improvement over the A7R3. Along with those improvements was an improved autofocusing system. In fact, this is the autofocusing system that the A1, the A7 IV, the A7S III, and the A9 II is built off of. This is the camera that introduced that autofocusing system. Tracking autofocus, eye autofocus in video, all of those good things that we know and love about the cameras today was built on this autofocusing system. Improvement in megapixels. A lot of people will say, hey, you don't need 61 megapixels. And a lot of those people would be right. But for someone who is a photographer first like myself, those megapixels become very important to me. Here's why. I know I bill myself as a portrait photographer, but that's what I do for money and for, you know, clout, so to speak, so that people can find me and know who I am. But the thing that I love to do most is to go out and shoot street photography. And in street photography, you either have to be a great street photographer who is patient and looks for a shot, or you're a street photographer like me, who's kind of trash, and you have to catch the things that happen as they happen. And one of the things that in street photography that I've learned is that you got to be ready to catch the picture. You got to have a camera that is fast enough in autofocusing and has the resolution to be able to catch the photo that you're trying to make. The camera has the autofocusing speed, and because of those 61 megapixels, it has the resolution for me to be able to crop and recompose if I need to. And a lot of people are going to say like, hey, you should get it right in camera. I know that I should get it right in camera, but sometimes I don't. And it's awesome to be able to recrop those photos when I don't. Second, I am someone who really likes to shoot landscapes and cityscapes, and being able to capture those photos and then blow them up to 20 by 30 and see them big and beautiful. I love it. And just having the resolution to be able to do that is amazing. So 61 megapixels of resolution is amazing. Fast autofocus of this camera is amazing. The next iteration that they made is that they made the grip a little bit bigger. This was the first redesign from the old generation of cameras. A lot of people complained that the Sony A7 III, the grip on it was too small. Some of the buttons were a little fiddly. I mean, the doors were fiddly. People didn't like the buttons. Everything got improved, got bigger buttons, got a deeper grip. It was the first redesign when we're talking about ergonomics. And so that was another design improvement. I think that this is still the best photo camera that Sony makes, excluding no cameras. I think it's a better photo camera than the A1. I think it's a better photo camera than the A9 II, if you're not a sports photographer. But as I said before, this camera had a trick up its sleeve back in 2019 that I don't think a lot of people talked about. This is the camera that introduced the world to eye autofocus in video. Sony had never done that in cameras before. The focusing system was really good before, but in video, we didn't have eye auto tracking. And that became important to me because, again, I shoot all of these videos alone. I don't have anyone who can man the camera when I'm doing these talking head videos. I don't have anybody who can lock off, focus. I don't have, someone pulling focus when I'm out in the field recording things. And when I am out and I'm recording, models, or when I'm sitting here and I'm worried about whether or not I'm in focus, especially when I'm shooting, with my 35-1.4 or this 50mm 1.2, I knew that with eye autofocus, it was just working. And that was huge for me. I know that a lot of people are going to say, but it was still 8-bit color and it didn't have 120 frames per second in slow motion. It didn't even have 60 frames per second in slow motion, especially not full frame. But none of that stuff was important to me because I shoot all of my slow motion in 1080p and no one has ever complained. I've shot weddings in 1080p. So it wasn't something that was really important to me. And I don't think it's something that's really important to people in 2022 because I still shoot all of my slow motion in 1080p. And no one bats an eye. In fact, if I didn't tell you before that all of the video was recorded on this A7R4, you wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have known that the slow motion was in 1080p. And if you say that you can, you're a liar. So that's the case for this camera in 2022. It's a great camera. It still shoots the best photos. It still shoots really good video. And I think that it really became Sony's forgotten camera. So who's this camera for? In fact, let's start with who this camera isn't for. If you are someone who considers yourself a hybrid shooter and you're someone who says that photo and video are both as equal to you, then this camera's not for you. If you are someone who shoots primarily for social media and having 61 megapixels is not important to you, this camera isn't for you. If you are someone who shoots mostly video, this camera isn't for you. But luckily, Sony does make all of those cameras. The A7 IV is a fantastic hybrid camera. The A7S III shoots 12 megapixel photos, and that's more than enough for, social media. And if you're someone who considers yourself a video first primary shooter, then the A7S III is an amazing video camera. But if you are like me and photos come first, and having the best possible photo camera with the best possible resolution, then this is the camera for you. Thank you guys for watching this video. I am Jamil. This is a boy named Jamil. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.